Some of you may be wondering about my academic background. This mug bears the name and the image of my primary school. Imagine that you are a university lecturer and you're about to go out and deliver their first ever lecture to a group of new students. What will be the topic of your lecture? You may be wondering, but what subject am I teaching? Does it matter? Imagine that you and I are music lecturers. If I say treble clef, I probably mean the same as what you mean when you say treble clef. The term has a universally accepted meaning as far as I'm aware. But if I say rhythm and blues, I don't necessarily mean the same as what you mean when you say rhythm and blues, because as far as I'm aware there is no universally accepted definition of that term. And this touches upon what I call the academic vocabulary dilemma. On the one hand, it will be helpful for students if lecturers all use the same words, the same phrases, with the same common meaning. The trouble arises, who is to decide what that common meaning should be? If we're a teaching staff at a university, we could get round a table and discuss what certain words or phrases mean. But what if we don't all agree? Should we all be bound by what the majority decide? And so I think this situation, this dilemma, probably has always existed in the academic world and probably always will exist. But isn't it strange how not one academic, as far as I'm aware, has ever addressed this? I'm certainly not aware that any academic has ever used the term academic vocabulary dilemma. As far as I'm aware, it's a term I invented myself. So what I'd like to know is, why don't academics address this? And by which I mean, when you're delivering your first ever lecture, so their first ever lecture to some new students, you should make clear that this dilemma exists, and that it would be helpful if lecturers always use the same terminology with the same common meanings, but that in the real world doesn't always happen. In the world of economics, it's not too bad. There are certain phrases like gross national product, where the meaning is pretty well universally accepted. But there are other phrases like frictional unemployment or structural unemployment, where the meaning is less likely to be inflexible, where different lecturers may use those terms with different meanings, which can be confusing for students. So on the one hand, economics is not that bad in this respect, but this dilemma does exist, and I wonder why the academic world does not do more to make students aware this dilemma does even exist.